What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of MotoMoney. I'm really excited with how this channel's been going. I'm shooting this video many days in advance before I'm actually uploading it, so I actually have no idea if this channel's growing at all, to be honest. Right now that I'm making this, I think I only have 2 subscribers. So if that number has moved at all, that's pretty good. But even more than that, I'm just glad I'm getting into a groove. I feel good about editing stuff, and I'm just really happy this channel is actually coming to fruition. It's an idea that I had for a long time, and I just kept talking myself out of it. But a lesson I keep teaching myself over and over is if you want to do something, stop talking yourself out of it. Today I wanted to make a video where I break down what an ideal situation would look like. I wanted to make something that's very simple to conceptualize so that somebody who's just starting to get in and manage their money knows what a good game plan looks like. And instead of getting into some of the more complicated stuff, I'm going to stay true to building the fundamentals. As we keep going with this channel, we can get into all that fun stuff, escrows and IRAs and all these crazy finance terminologies. But for now, all that matters is the fundamentals and the mindset. And if you watch any of my other videos, I talk a lot about how getting to the right mindset is going to help you a whole bunch, because that really is half the battle. It's the same thing. I always compare. It's the same thing as like weight loss. Everybody knows how to lose weight, right? You just eat less. Eat less calories, you lose weight. And of course, the same thing with weight loss. Everybody's situation is different, right? Everybody's finances look different. Everybody's got different expenses. So when we look at this stuff, of course, not everything is going to be extremely fine-tuned to you. And what I've found to be extremely successful investing in maybe isn't going to be what you find extremely successful. In fact, you might completely tank. But here I just want to talk about stuff that can be applied to anybody. So let's get right in. What I'm going to talk to you about is what I call the rule of threes. I wrote this down as a very, very easy blueprint to follow for just about anybody to create long-term wealth. And it sounds like it could be some sort of really cheesy book, but it's not. It's just 3 rules, each involving the number 3 that will help you make your money work for you. And like with anything, it takes a little while to adapt, so don't be worried if it takes you a little while to find your footing. There's no real rush, but of course, the sooner you can get into it, the better. I'm going to preface this by saying this is going to work easier for some people than it is for others. I'm guessing in this case, it might be a little easier for someone who maybe lives with their significant other and they split finances to do this rule than it is for someone who's single. However, it is by no means unachievable if you're single. In fact, honestly, it might even be easier. It all kind of depends on how committed you can get to it. Rule number 1, always keep at least 3 times your monthly expenses in your checkings account. And this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to break this down real quick. Basically, that means if your rent is $1,500 plus all your other expenses, you have $2,000 a month that you got to pay in bills. You should always keep a minimum of $6,000 in your checkings account. That's a great rule of thumb. I always try and follow it. I'm usually a little bit over. Always a minimum of 3 times that amount. If you're like me, you like to keep usually about 5 times that amount. That's because for me, I like to keep my cost of living extremely low. So while for some people, my 5 times their expenses for them isn't even 2 times their expenses. So let me try and keep it really, really quick and tell you the reason why. The reason you want to do this is really simple. You never ever know what the future holds. Are you going to wake up and lose your job tomorrow? Probably not. But if there's anything we've learned from March 2020, it is that we have absolutely no idea what to expect. There's so many reasons why you might have to all of a sudden access some funds or have enough money stored away that you can get by for a while because things, holy crap! Did you just see that? What was I just talking about? Did you see that bunny just run in front of me? This is exactly what I'm talking about, people. Oh my god, I almost took out Peter Rabbit. I would have felt so bad. But this is exactly what I'm saying. Much like driving a motorcycle or even just driving in general, you have no idea when things can just go sideways. Your car might just crap the bed on you. You might have to pay a whole bunch out of pocket to get it repaired. So by keeping 3 times your expenses, you're saving yourself a whole bunch of headaches down the line. Alright, so let's move on to our second rule. This one can be extremely helpful. Try your best to always keep all of your expenses under 1/3 of your income. Now this might be really hard to fathom if you're somebody who makes about 40K a year. Let's say you're making 40K a year and your rent is $1,500 and you're single, you're living on your own. I can totally understand how this would seem very unachievable, but at the same time, there's so many ways you can cut down those expenses hardcore, especially if you're following that other rule. Like if you're living alone, right off the bat, I can say one way you can totally cut down is by getting a roommate, if not multiple roommates. This is really easy if you're younger. You know, sometimes, I don't know, if people are older, sometimes they look at it with humility. I would not do that. Never put your pride in front of what makes sense. And if you want to get ahead and you're not so focused on looking cool, I mean, just get a roommate. Some people may argue that they're very particular about their space and I understand that. I know people like that. I guess I'm slightly particular about my space too, but I'm also really particular on having the best financial situation I can. So that for me takes priority over that. But either way, just don't sweat it. Try your best to make it happen, but it is completely doable. And another option, and this one's actually even better if you can do it, is getting a duplex and renting out the other side. That can sometimes net you completely even on your mortgage, or if you play your cards right, you can actually be profiting off that. So there's a couple ideas, but yeah, just try and make it work for you. Now, needless to say, the reason you want to keep these expenses super low is because you want to keep the profits super high. Treat your finances like a business, taking as much revenue as possible, minimize spending, maximize profits. See what corners you can cut. Assess your phone plan. Maybe you've got cable. Maybe it's time to look at what vehicles you're driving. The key here is you want to live way under your means, which in reality is your actual means. There's that saying that your eyes are bigger than your stomach, right? It's really easy to bite off more than you can actually chew. So cut away all those extra expenses so you actually have more money disposable to do things you really want. Maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to do other stuff, I don't know. And if you're having a hard time parting with certain things, just remember, this is a really nice thing to remember. The more things you own, the more those things own you. Just think, if you got like a really nice guitar, you have to get a really nice case for it. You have to get it maintained. You're gonna want to get a really nice amp. It's really easy for the expenses to start adding up on those things, plus maintaining them. And the more headaches you can alleviate, the more you free yourself. You want to be financially free, but even more so, you want to just be free to do whatever. And if you have the money to do stuff and you don't have other things holding you back, then you're free. I mean, look at me. I feel pretty free right now. Even this though, it's gonna need some maintenance at some point. At some point I'll have to re-register it. I gotta inspect it, whatever. So pick a few things you like and then get rid of the rest. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the last rule, and in my opinion, the coolest rule. Because even though I love working on a lot of different projects and stuff, and I love doing this, that, whatever, I'm also keeping it real with myself. I'm also pretty lazy. And this last one allows me to be pretty lazy and not worry too much. I mean, I guess in my case, I don't actually get to be too lazy with it still. Okay, so this last rule, keep in mind that you've written off 1/3 of your income towards expenses. Now take 1/3 of your income and put it towards investing. All right, investing is cool, right? I'll go ahead and answer for you. Yes, investing is cool. Why is it cool? Investing is cool because it allows you to make money without actually doing anything. You're just getting money because you have money. Some things are going to pay you out really well. Other things aren't going to pay you out that well. For all intents and purposes, in this blueprint model, it really doesn't matter. What I would guide everybody here to invest in is something really stable. I would suggest investing in something like an index fund. Something like the S&P 500 will on average give you returns of about 8% a year, which doesn't really sound like that much, but sometimes by putting things into perspective, you actually realize it is a lot. For example, if I had $20,000 in the S&P 500 and I'm making 8% on that every single year, I'm getting $1,600 just for having money. Now keep in mind, this is on average, right? Some years it's going to be 13%, some years it's going to be 4%, some years it's going to totally tank because there's a recession, I don't know. But the long time average here is 8%. So when I think, oh, I'm getting $1,600 a year, that's not that much because I put in $20,000. Just think, when you break that up month per month, you're getting over $100 and you're not doing anything. You're just going about your day, but now you have an extra $100 that you could throw out a new pair of shoes or whatever without lifting a finger or anything. Or if you're even smarter, you just won't even touch that money and you'll just let it keep compounding. So now your 8%, instead of being of 20,000, is now off 21,600. Then next year it's even closer to 2,400. And then a couple years after that, it's way closer to 30,000 than it is to 20,000. So now you're making almost 10 grand in not very much time without doing anything. This is where the numbers start to get really awesome. Fast forward 20 years and you've completely multiplied the amount of money you had. Let's say it was a good time and the S&P did really well, like you might have a small fortune on your hands. And again, you didn't do anything. Okay, so that wraps up the 3 rules. Remember, it's 3 rules. They have the number 3 in them. Very easy. Stick to it as best you can. Easier said than done, but it is 100% achievable and it's not that difficult. And like I said, if you've got a partner, if you've got a spouse, a significant other, and you guys go at it as a team and keep each other accountable, it's really easy, right? Be a power couple. And as the money's growing, your stress is decreasing always, or at least supposedly until the point you hit like $100,000 in income. I think that's what the studies show, right? Like $100,000 in income. Once you're making over that, it doesn't really add anything. All right, so I really hope this video helped, and I'm actually going to leave you guys with one more bonus tip, and this is one I do all the time. It's very helpful. So we all know at some points in our lives we are going to want to splurge on something. For me, it was this motorcycle. For you, it could be anything, a boat, boat, a really nice guitar. I don't know what it is, but you saw something, you really, really wanted it. You've been really good at saving. You've been practicing delayed gratification. And now you see the thing that you've delayed for. You see the gratification you want. And so you're looking at it, you're looking at it, you're looking at it. At this point, you've got plenty of money saved and you've got plenty of money invested. So what should you do before you make this big purchase? Well, of course, you can always just buy it right away. Or you can be super cool and follow this bonus rule. You guys like that rhyme? You can save 3 times the price of that item and then march your butt into that store and buy it. Completely guilt-free. That's exactly what I did with this bike. This bike was actually really cheap. It only cost me $5 grand. I kept texting my buddy. I was like, oh, what do I do? I really want to get this thing. And I just kept holding off. Obviously, at the same time I'm working, I'm making money. So by the time I actually bought this thing, I'd already made 3 times it. It made me feel a lot less bad about buying it. My girlfriend, anytime she sees anything that she wants to buy right away, of course, right? She'll be like, well, you bought that motorcycle. I'm like, yeah, I saved for it. I wanted it for half a year. I sold my scooter. It's a losing argument. Fellas, sometimes you just gotta take it on the chin. I mean, who's really winning here? I'm on a bike. It's a beautiful day. Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this helped you in any sort of way, just make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope the videos are getting better as I slowly get used to talking into a microphone and not actually talking to anybody. But yeah, guys, take care, and I'll see you next time.